What's going on? My name is Ben. I'm gonna talk about some books today. I usually, I'm not a huge reader, and I can't say I really started reading for fun and like enjoying it, and like finishing books. I can't say I used to do that. Like literally, I started reading January like 1st of this year, 2026. So this is fairly new to me, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm very lucky because I'm at the point in my reading journey where I can kind of like read anything because I don't have a preference yet. So I've been exploring genres, just trying new things out, classics, newer stuff, fiction, nonfiction, therapy books, psychotherapy, psychology, like I don't know, typical performative reading stuff. But I've been super inspired by Big Nate from Big Nate's book reviews. I binge watch his videos. He's definitely an inspiration for reading, and like just the way he reviews books and talks about them is super dope. So I want to do the same. But also, I do kind of struggle with staying like accountable with reading. Not to make reading like a task or a job, but I do love reading, but I definitely struggle with motivation as of late. And a big part of that is my phone, doom scrolling TikTok. It's kind of like a dang, I'm reading, I could be doing something better or more entertaining right now. In reality, reading is so good for you. Like, it's good for your brain, it expands your knowledge, your vocabulary, stories. The favorite part of mine about reading is the stories and learning stuff. And I feel like I can read a really good book and just sit for like hours by myself and just like think about the book and just think about like what would I do if I was in that situation? What would I do differently? Like what would I how would have I reacted in that situation? But anyways, I digress. Pretty much I'd like to start doing these little video essay things, not essays, little book reviews or just talking about books. I don't think I'm a good reviewer, but I was going to go through my Goodreads and just go ahead and tell you guys and like share with you what I've read so far this year, starting from like January 1st. So it's not too crazy, but I'm definitely proud of myself. I think it's like 26 books. I'm pretty proud of myself because I went from not reading at all. I would do like cliff notes for school. Like I wouldn't read the book. I'd watch YouTube videos, which isn't bad, but you know, reading is so great. I love it so much now. But I will say the one thing that got me to start reading is reading a good book. The first book that I read that got me into the whole reading was Normal People by Sally Rooney, I think it is. Let me pull up my Goodreads real quick. All right, I've got my Goodreads pulled up and I'm looking at what I've read. And did I log it? I did log it, but I actually like logged a bunch of books at the same time because I didn't know what Goodreads was until a little bit into reading, like a week or two. But I do remember the order, I think, of what I read. But yes, the first book, I do remember reading it. I was on a trip to see my grandparents. It was Normal People by Sally Rooney. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was a romance book, but I just had a conversation. Apparently, it's more just like normal literature. I think it was not Scottish. What is it? Something with whoever Dublin is. I don't really remember. But I like it. I like the characters. I did I did watch the show before reading the book, but I watched it a while ago and I really enjoyed it. So I read the book was great. Actually pretty faithful to the show, I feel like. It's been a while, but I think it was pretty similar. But I enjoyed Normal People, good first book. So I guess let's just get right into the books that I read. I did read 26 books. That's accurate. And I do have most of them with me in physical and I like show you, but a couple of them I did read on my Kindle and then like my phone Kindle app because I didn't want to pay for them. But it's all legal stuff. But I did start doing book collecting, book buying, physical copies, and I started falling in love with physical copies. Some physical copies, like The Picture of Dorian Gray, which I finished today. I bought 2 physical copies. I could not read, like it was so hard to read, so I just did on my phone. But hey, to each their own, right? So let me get right into it. I'm gonna go through the ones that I read first, which are all like Kindle ones, so I'll just maybe put a picture up. But yeah, so Normal People was really good. And if I did write a review on Goodreads, I'll just share the review real quick. But I'll give you my little, what I liked about it and if I enjoyed it or if I didn't like it or if I recommend it. But I don't know. I read books that people don't like that I liked and vice versa. So, okay, the next book I read was actually on a trip I took a trip this beginning of the year. It was like 15, 16 days long. So it was a long trip, cross-country trip. But I found a bookstore called Waterstones in London and I bought a bunch of books there on the trip and I fell in love with reading in London. So anyways, let's continue. The other book I read is A Way of Being by Carl Rogers. So I'm super into psychotherapy and therapy. I'm actually in school for it right now. And By the way, I am 18. So 18-year-olds, if you're young, you can read. You don't got to be a little bit older. It comes to you, pause, anytime in your life. But yeah, A Way of Being, great psychotherapy book, or I guess it's CBT book. It's been a while. I read this at the very start of the month, but I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot of stuff that's used for school. But I will say the next book I read was On Becoming a Person, a Therapist's View of Psychotherapy by Carl Rogers. I gave that a 3 out of 5, and I said it was an incredible book with a lot of great information on PCT and Carl Rogers. However, a good portion of the book was just different papers he wrote, and a lot of the stuff was similar content as the other book, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I did learn new stuff, but a lot of it was kind of recycled. But I love Carl Rogers. I went down a little rabbit hole on YouTube watching his interviews and his therapy sessions, and overall, good guy. Let me turn on some lights real quick because I feel like it's getting dark. I don't really think that helped at all. I kind of got low lights, but it's okay. I'll try to go fast. Okay, next book. Next book I read was, I think it was in London. Okay, it was The Outsider by Albert Camus. I think that's how you pronounce it. The Outsider, I bought it in London, and I'm pretty sure that The Outsider is just like the UK edition. I'm pretty sure it's the same book as The Stranger. It is the same book, I'm pretty sure. I don't think there's any differences. Maybe there's a couple words different. I don't really know, but I know the title's different and the cover's different. But regardless, I gave it a 2 out of 5. It was a good book, and it talked about like this guy and he's thinks a bit differently, and he like killed somebody because he got into a fight, and he's not like super remorseful, I think it was. But it's been a while, so forgive me if I don't remember. But it was a good book. It was short. It was a super short book. I actually have it with me, so let me grab it. Alright, so I just went ahead and grabbed all my books. You can kind of see it here on the camera. It's a pretty big stack, but let me find it without toppling everything over. Alright, yeah, I found it. Alright, yeah. So The Outsider by Albert Camus. It was a good book. It's not too thick. It's a very short book. I think it's only like 100 pages. Yeah, it's literally like 112 pages. It's not too bad. A lot of people I saw on Goodreads and in general, like on TikTok and stuff, really love this book. But maybe I just didn't read it at the right time for me to like really connect with it. I did think it was good. It was entertaining. I read it while waiting in the airport, and it took me like less than probably like a few hours. This was a really quick read. It took me like a day to read, but good stuff. After that book, I read this book right here, The Art of Counselling by Rollo May, for anyone who needs to listen, support, and advise at work. So this was a super good book on counseling and how you can take counseling tactics into your normal job or your life, and kind of just better yourself and understand people better. So it's a good book. I really enjoyed this book, and let me see what I gave it. I gave it a 3 out of 5. So I do remember really enjoying this book. I think I'm giving low ratings because I was just like a little picky. And I also am coming off of reading like both of those Carl Rogers books, so I was kind of like a little fatigued with the therapy and psychotherapy, and a lot of it's kind of the same stuff. Different stuff, but same stuff kind of situation going on. But that was a really good book. 3 out of 5. I recommend it if you're into counseling or if you just kind of want to like learn about how people work and stuff. Next book, I don't have physical copy. It's called Convenience Store Woman. I don't want to say the name because I'm going to mess it up, but it was a good book. It was a quick book. I think another like 100-page book. I did read this book and a lot of these short books because I was like, let me just get it over with, which is not the best mindset to have. But I enjoyed it pretty much. 2 out of 5. It was good. The pacing was good, but it was a little like, if I remember, jump aroundy, if that makes sense. Like it jumped around a lot, and I wasn't feeling it too much, but it was good. But I wouldn't read it again. It was one of those quick reads where I'm like, this is super short. Kindle says it's gonna take like 2.5 hours. I'm gonna just knock it out. Next book. Okay, next book. I got 2 more therapy books. I was really knocking them out, but Letters to a Young Therapist by Mary Pfeiffer. Yep, I do have this here with me. Boom. Letters to a Young Therapist by Mary Pfeiffer. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm thinking of Michelle Pfeiffer. Pretty sure that's an actress. But this is a good book. This is the revised edition, and I actually like this book a lot. I gave it a 4 out of 5. The only reason I gave it a 4 out of 5 and not a 5 out of 5 is because, again, a lot of the stuff was what I already know and kind of like I've heard, but this was probably the first book I actually marked up and started to like highlight and underline and kind of just like bracket stuff to go back to. So this will definitely be a book I go back to. but it's super good. The premise, I'm pretty sure is real. I don't think it's like a fake thing. But from what I gathered from reading this, Mary is mentoring a younger therapist, hence the name Letters to a Young Therapist, and these are the letters sent to the young therapist. Good stuff though. It was broken up really interestingly where it's like in different seasons, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was sick. But yeah, wise and compassionate book. Fire book. I recommend it. Now, let's move on, shall we? Second book, therapy book again. It's called The Gift of Therapy by Irvin Yalom. I think he might be my favorite psychotherapist I've read and like watched and stuff. He's very self-aware. I've got one or two other books I read by him that I loved. One of them being Love's Executioner, but I don't have that physical with me right now because I let my mom read that and she also really enjoyed it. But as a future therapist, I enjoyed this book so much. Wait, I'm already talking about a different book. The Gift of Therapy. I got a lot of books here. Let me put these books down because I feel like I'm about to drop them. All right, I kind of went crazy and read this many books, but that's a good thing, so who cares? Anyways, The Gift of Therapy by Dr. Irvin Yalom, fire book. I definitely recommend it. Million copy best-selling author of Love's Executioner and When Nietzsche Wept. I haven't read that. That's a fiction one. He did branch out to fiction. I heard that was super good too. But he does have one book that I'm dying to read. I just haven't found a physical copy in person, and I have a very big TBR, so I'm not gonna buy it online. But pretty much that book, I think it's called, I don't know what it's called. I think it's a memoir, but it's like him and his wife, his late wife, rest in peace, wrote it together. And it was kind of like him going through the process of losing anticipatory grief of his wife, this woman he loved. And if you watch any interview with Irvin Yalom, he usually talks about how he met his wife, and it's such a beautiful story about like two kids who would normally be together and they fall in love. I know she pushed him to write a lot of these books that I love, so shout out to her. Rest in peace. God bless her. I don't know. Behind every great writer, behind every great man is an amazing woman, and that's just facts. But this was a fire book. I'm pretty sure I gave this a 5. Yeah, I did give this a 5. This was a great book. I don't think I highlighted it, but I love this book because it's a super easy read. The chapters are broken up. So like this is chapter 52. Oh, literally next page is next chapter. Next chapter. Next chapter. I mean, it's super good. You could like stop and start, pick it up at your leisure, you know, do whatever. But this is such a good book. I love this book. I love Irvin D. Yalom. I think I like him more than Carl Rogers because he's a bit newer than Carl Rogers, but you know, Carl Rogers did lay the foundation pretty much for like psychotherapy, and I don't know. But Irvin Yalom, I'm going to talk about Love's Executioner next because we're on the topic of him. Let me see if I can't find what I wrote about that. I didn't write anything. I gave it a 4 out of 5, but thinking about it and thinking about the stories and the transparency as a therapist, I might give it a 5. Like I might change my rating because it was a fire book. I mean, it was so good. I read it in India when I had some downtime in the hotel, and I love that book. That was such a good book. I might read that again. I'm scared to read again because I kind of have an issue where like I feel like I'm wasting my time by reading in general, which is so weird. I don't know why I think that way. I think it's just some brain rot or like attention span. But yeah, I might just force myself to reread it, especially if I get into a slump, because that happens. That has happened a lot during this year. We're halfway through, so honestly, I haven't read that many books compared to most people and like booktubers or talkers or whatever. But I'm pretty proud of it. Anyways, let's move on. I don't have this physical either. I actually listened to the audiobook on this, but I still count it as reading it because like same content. Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. So a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I went with a romance kind of like young adult situation. I enjoyed it. It took me about like a day and a half. I was listening to it while I worked, just like passing time. I don't know. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I actually really liked it, which is crazy because I don't know. I think it's more targeted towards like teenage girls. Hey, books are for everybody, every age, every walk of life, every path, whatever. Not much more to say about that. I know it's a series. I did actually start the second book. Did I log that one? No, I didn't log it. I didn't finish the second book. I might revisit like just for like a cozy, like chill type of thing. The next book I read was actually recommended to me. It's called The Push by Ashley Audrain. Fire book. This is a fiction book. Pretty much it's about like a mom. She gets married to this guy she loves, has a kid, and it's a little girl, and pretty much she's a psychopath. I mean, she's insane. I'm not gonna give spoilers, but pretty much some crazy stuff happens. I actually recommend this book. It took me like maybe 2 days to read, but I was like super invested. This is probably the first book that I read in my new journey that like made me want to read more, because I was kind of like hitting a lull where I was reading but like not a lot. And I read this in February 25th, so end of February. This got me started on my kick again. Definitely like a up, down, but we're still going up. We're still reading. Anyways, Fire book. I gave that a 4 out of 5. Fire book. I don't really know what I consider 5 out of 5. I think I need to read more to get like a baseline. But I think I gave like Secret History, which is actually the next book. Donna Tartt's Secret History. If you know anything about books, you've probably heard of this book, or you've heard of Donna Tartt because she's written some fire books. But I've only read this one. I've heard the other ones are good, but this was a fire novel. I love this book so much. I read this, or I guess I finished it on a trip, but it took me a little while to read, mostly because I don't really read big books, and to me this is considered big. It's like 400 pages. No, it's 500, like 30 pages. So almost 600 pages. Like, I was so proud when I finished this. This was a fire book. 5 out of 5, 5 stars, but I was like finishing it and like doing the thing where you're trying to hurry up because I wanted to read something else. But I love this book. I don't even want to talk about it. All of these books that I'm reading, for the most part, I go into the book blind. I need to get off my phone, but there's a few of them where they're recommended to me by like my old boss, and he's actually given me a lot of these books, but I think we're going to get to those soon. Secret History, fire book. It's a classic. Check it out. It's only like 18 bucks, maybe cheaper on Amazon. But yeah, next book, Of Mice and Men, John Steinbeck. I do have that one here. This was another one of those ones where I'm like, I just want to have a bigger book read number. So let me grab a tiny little pocket book. This thing's so small. This was a super good story. This is kind of like a day, 2-day type of story takes place. It's super short. I read this in a day. I just kind of sat down on the floor and was just like, let me read this. But I like it. This was a cool book because this introduced me to sort of like a Western type of thing. And it was fun doing the accent in my head. I don't know. This is fire. This is about 2 dudes just trying to make it work, have their own ranch. Fire book. I don't want to spoil it. Like, I would love to talk more about these books, but I think I'd rather talk about how I felt when reading it and like what I thought about. So with this, I was about ready to buy a ranch. I was about ready to buy a freaking farm, dude. 3 out of 5 stars. It's a little low, but like, I still like the book. Like, it was a good book. I think 3 is a good book. 4 was a great book. 5 was an excellent book, and 2 was like, it was good. Like, it maybe took me a while to read it. I wasn't really like clicking with it. 1 is like, I finished it, but it wasn't fire. I didn't like it. Well, I finished it, but whatever. Next, book logged. Probably, I wasn't gonna say my favorite book to date, but I don't know. I'm trying to think if there was a book I liked more. I just read Dorian Gray, Picture Dorian Gray, which I said already, but I love that book. So that might be contender with it. At least contender for classics, like Penguin classics or just classics in general. Fire book. Frankenstein. I love this book so much. This took me like maybe 3 days to read, but this was so good. I mean, the story is so beautiful. I give it a 5 out of 5, 5 stars. Exceptional book. I mean, this was probably not my first classic, because I guess Of Mice and Men is technically a classic, but this was what got me into like, let me read some more classics. And I actually think I read Wuthering Heights a little bit later after this book, but this is such a great book. I think everybody should read this book. It's a beautiful story. The Del Toro movie was really good. I loved him, but I love him separately as a book and as a movie, because some stuff was changed for story purposes and it made sense to me. Like, I understood, like, I get why you changed that, but some of it I didn't. Like, the love interest, how they handled that, to me was a little, it was different. I wasn't used to it, because like, I finished the last page of this book and I loaded up the movie and I was like, let me just watch this real quick. And the book's pretty much split into 2 parts. The first part is like Dr. Frankenstein's story, and the second part is the Frankenstein's monster story. And in the book and in the movie, it's separated super well. So like, I watched the first part of the movie and then went to bed, woke up, fresh brain, like ready to watch the second part. And I did the second part and it was fire. I loved it. So yeah, 5 stars. All right, we got some lights on. I wasn't paying attention. I kind of looked like weird and like I was in the dark. I can't change my lights because I have to like plug it into Ethernet to change it. It's so dumb. But I got you next video. We're going to fix it. Okay. Next up. Yes, okay, so this was actually given to me. This one and the next one was given and recommended by my old boss, who hooks me up with some great recommendations and great books. Ghost Soldiers, the epic account of World War II's greatest rescue mission. This was an awesome book. It took me a few days to read this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars because it was a great book. A lot of cool stuff in it. I think the story, I mean, it's true, so it's kind of like, dang, this feels like a fiction book, but it's actually like a non-fiction. I mean, this happened. There's probably some elements of fiction. This happened. This is real. I mean, people went through this stuff. There's some awesome pictures, some cool pictures that kind of aid the story and like the imagination while reading it. But yeah, I actually super duper enjoyed this book. I was trying to remember if I had a hard copy. I think it's just this copy. Yeah, great book though, not much more to say. If you like World War stuff, read it. You'll probably like it. It's an excellent story with excellent characters, which I guess are real life characters. Yeah, I don't really have much to say. Fire book. Alright, so that second one that was recommended was Colson Whitehead, The Nickel Boys. This book was crazy. This book made my stomach turn. Pretty much it's about this dude who gets, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. This young black kid, it's crazy. He gets sent off to this place. It was like this correctional kind of juvenile type of center, like school thing, and they separate it. And I remember they called it the White House, but I can't remember if that was where they had like the white kids stay or the black kids stay. Okay, sorry to interrupt, but I was just looking up real quick about this book. It's actually based on a true story. So parts of the story actually happen. Oh, and I don't think I talked about this. The ending is freaking crazy. This book is insane. Please go read this book. But yeah, based on a true story, absolutely wild. But it's some crazy stuff. Like they were beating on them. They would just like mentally, psychologically like torture them. They would lock them up in solitary confinement. It was insane. But I do know there's an Amazon show. I think Amazon about this book. I haven't watched it, but it's probably awesome. And it won the Pulitzer Prize. But also Colson Whitehead is a freaking amazing author. Okay, last interruption. I just need to say Colson Whitehead won 2 Pulitzer Prizes back to back, and he is one of only 4 writers in history to ever do that for fiction. Like win a Pulitzer Prize back to back for fiction, 1 in 4 in history. So that should tell you how freaking good he is. I got through this book in a day, 2 days, day and a half. Like I started it one day, went to bed, finished it the next. I don't know, the writing is just super good and it just flows by quick and it jumps back but at a good pace. So this was a fire book. I think I already told you I gave it a 4 out of 5, but yeah, good book. Second one. So this next book, The Boy from Block 66. This was a little pickup at the local half price books because me and my mom were trying to read a book together, and we got 2 copies of this and it was great. It took me about a day to read this, but I low-key just like will sit down and just knock out a book just for the sake of knocking it out. But I'm trying to fix that and take my time and enjoy and like savor the moments and really think about it. But I give this a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed this book. This was another kind of World War book about Nazi Germany. I don't know if I could say that. I might bleep that out. I'm not sure. But it's a book. It's history. Who cares? Anyways, horrible stuff though what happened. And definitely a lot of times where I was like, wow, like I'm very privileged to live the life that I have, and these people fought for me. Same with the Ghost Soldiers. I think there's another kind of war book, Goodnight, Irene. Same with that. Like, man, like we're so blessed and lucky to be able to sit here and make a video about books, and they were over here like in concentration camps, and man, it's insane. But this is a true story. This book's a true story. I recommend picking it up. It was like a few bucks at half price books. You might have it at your half price books or local bookstore, but yeah, check it out. 4 out of 5 stars. This next book is actually so crazy. I really like this book. I don't have this book on me because I gave it to my mother to read and she enjoyed it as well. But it's called The 5 People That You Meet in Heaven. The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, not That You Meet in Heaven. But it's by Mitch Albom. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not too sure. Sorry if I mispronounced it. But amazing book. It's really what I would hope like heaven is like when I die. Like the process of where you have to meet 5 people that impacted your life or you impacted their life. And you learn a lesson from them. But at the end, I'm not going to spoil it. I almost spoiled that, but I'm not going to do that. Great ending, though. 5 out of 5 stars. I give that a 5 stars. Super short read. Another one of those short books. But, it hits you emotionally. Like, I definitely wept a little bit. And the imagery of his writing is so good. Like, you can clearly see what's going on. You can paint these pictures so vividly. And, I don't know. It was beautiful writing. 5 stars. I have another book on my TBR from him. And I do know that there's a sequel to The 5 People You Meet in Heaven where it talks about the girl from the first book, the little girl. I'm not going to say too much about that, but I'm going to check that out at some point when my TBR list goes down from 1 million to maybe like 100,000. Okay, so I think I'm noticing that these... Oh, okay. I added these so the dates are a little out of whack, but it's cool. Next one I read is The Picture of Dorian Gray, but I'm actually going to make a separate video because I read that today. So we're just going to move on to the ones that I read this year, and then we'll just do like video per book type of thing. So I guess next is going to be Wuthering Heights. I gave that a 3. I enjoyed the first part of the book. I think it was really good. I think the second part of the book is good as well for the story and to like convey like breaking generational patterns and like breaking generational negative patterns, and kind of showing like maybe a better love with their predecessors. I don't really know. This book is kind of interesting because I read it around the time the movie was coming out, and people were upset because the movie was like Wuthering Heights, so it was what she would want it to be when she was a kid. I'm trying to remember the girl's name. I don't remember, but I think she worked on Barbie too. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just thinking of Margot Robbie. Yeah, didn't watch the movie though. I heard it's a bit more like smut type of thing. But this was a good book. This is not a romance story though. This is a psycho obsession story. But I enjoyed it. I actually really liked the first part of the book. Second part kind of dropped it from like a 4 to a 3 for me. But I don't know, not much more to say. It's a good classic. It's a little long. Took me a little bit longer to get through this book. Definitely the second part was like, oh my gosh, like I'm switching on the audiobook, reading on my phone, like just trying to get through it. But man, yeah. Anyways, next is actually a better book. Different genre, but it's still better. The Fire Next Time, James Baldwin. Phenomenal writer. I mean, I've got so many books of his that I want to read that I haven't gotten to yet. Quick read. I read it in about a day and a half. Taking my time, of course, because I do feel like I may have rushed through it a little bit. I gave it 5 stars, by the way. But yeah, I feel like I may have rushed through it a little bit just for the sake of like reading the book. But this was such a great book. This definitely was I think everybody should read this book, or at least read James Baldwin. He's such an amazing writer. I do want to pick up Giovanni's Room. I know that's a fiction one. This is a nonfiction. This is more of like an essay type of situation. I don't know. There's not much more to say. Like, I don't want to spoil these books, but this is a beautifully written book, and I think you should check it out. It's not too expensive either, but it's worth it. It's literature. All right, next is Out Stealing Horses by Per Peterson. I forgot what my boss said, how he said to pronounce it, but this is an author that he liked a lot, so he gave me this book. It's on the floor. Let me grab it. All right, book acquired. I got it. It was the one I forgot to grab. Out Stealing Horses, great book. I give it a 4 out of 5, and I'm going to read you the Goodreads little review that I did, just so you can get an idea of where I was at the time I read this. So I said, this was a very good book that was paced in such a way to keep attention. The contents and themes of this book birthed the idea of parenthood and childhood in my mind, and I've been thinking about it nonstop since finishing it, as well as throughout reading. I am still at an early stage in my life, and I would argue that I have fairly unique perspectives on the world, my family, and life as a whole. This book makes me wonder how amazing it will be to have a kid grow up and get to hear and learn about their perspective on the life you guided them through. At the same time, I wonder why I rarely see parents and children talking about these subjects, life, pain, beauty, in a sit-down conversation way. I wonder if I will forget to do this and forget my desire to see my kids' perspective like my parents, or hold back like Tron in this book, who is the main character. But this was a super sweet book. This was like a chill book. It was kind of like a dude just by himself in the woods, and then kind of reconnects type of thing, and then like daughter involved. I don't know, this was such an interesting book about childhood and parenting, and yeah, it just made me feel a certain way about being a parent. Like, I'm super excited to be a parent. I'm so excited to be a dad, and I feel like it's such a unique opportunity to have, you know, another person to talk to about these things that I think about all day, like the philosophy of life and the meaning and religion and literature and movies and music, and how did you react to this situation, and was your heart broken, and have you loved, have you hate, have you felt passion? Like, I'm so freaking excited for that time in my life, and this book really made me even more excited because it's a beautiful book. But yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5 because there's some things where like a little bit of it was like, all right, let me get to the next part, but I still recommend it. Let's move on. Another book given to me by the old boss. Shout out Doug for giving these fire recommendations. Half a Life. Now for me, I'm not a huge fan of hardcovers, but I've gotten used to them with a lot of the ones he's given me. I think all my hardcovers I own are from Doug. Anyways, fire book. Another one of those books that's broken down really well in like pacing wise and section wise, like it's short chapters. And actually, when I started this book about halfway through, I didn't realize this was a memoir. I thought this was a fiction book about a guy who killed a girl on accident, and he's like struggling with it. So this is a beautiful book. I recommend this book. I give it 5 stars, like 5 out of 5. Exceptional book. And I'm going to read the review, but I'm going to tell you too, this book has a 3.58 rating on Goodreads, which I think is kind of crazy because it's an amazing book. But a lot of people said that they felt bad for not liking it more, but it kind of just felt like a, oh, get over yourself type of thing. But I don't know. I think you have to. I was gonna say I think you have to be in a certain stage of life and like time in your life and your life experiences to really connect with this book. And at the time, I definitely connected with this book, not because I killed someone. I promise I didn't, but just with like grief and anticipatory grief going on in my life. I really enjoyed this book. Let me read you the review. It's a little long, but I'm gonna get through it quick. So the quote is, "To be alive is to find a way to blame someone else." I really enjoyed this book and find it interesting how his other three books were subliminally about the incident. I'm surprised by the rating it has, and maybe I just connect with the thought content of this book more right now in my life than others did while reading it. It's Mother's Day, and after finishing this book, I saw the flowers I bought my mom, and for some reason I felt a sense of grief knowing they're going to die soon. It's really strange because I've never cared about the life cycle of a flower before, but this book has grief and death on my mind. The flowers are beautiful, but when they eventually wither away, there's nothing I can really do. I can feed it the flower food, maybe put some coins in the vase, or find another way to keep them alive. But I still bought them, knowing they would die, and there's no benefit to my life by thinking about this one Mother's Day where I bought flowers and they eventually died. Flowers are not as important as a human life, but everything dies at some point, and I can go to sleep knowing I didn't do anything to intentionally kill the flowers. Maybe another person would overanalyze and think about the dirty car seat they sat on, or the kids that pulled at the leaves in the store, and how I could have gotten there a minute earlier to buy them before those kids pulled the leaves off. Maybe I am the overanalyzer and I should just put 5 stars and read my next book. Long review, you get the point. Great book. Half a life, recommend it. Go read it if you want to. I'm not going to force you. Alright, the next book, Art and Fear. Observations on the perils and rewards of art making. This was a really good book. I read this in a day as well. Another short one you can just bang out. But I gave this a 3 out of 5 because some parts were kind of like, alright, you're just kind of like, I don't know. It was a little, not pretentious. I think it gave me a lot of insight in creating art. And I actually made a lot of music after reading this. I made a whole album, 2 albums after reading this because I was very inspired. But I think this is a good book to remember and kind of like keep that thing in your mind of like, you're not guaranteed you're going to get paid for your art. You're not going to blow up. You're not going to make it big, but you should be focusing on making art for the sake of making art and loving making art. And art is an expression, and there are some fears with art, but that's just stuff you got to live with. I don't know. I think it's a good book. I think if you want like a quick read and like something that's you can learn from, you can kind of highlight in it to come back to it, I think this is a good book. But yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. Next book. This one I liked a lot. This one took me a little bit longer to read because it's a bit bigger. But Goodnight, Irene. Fire freaking book. I actually bought at Half Price Books a paperback copy because this was a little big to hold. But appreciate you, Doug, for giving this to me. And I'm going to keep it because I love it. But this was just for fun. Great book. I don't want to spoil it again. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because some parts it took me a little bit to get through. But I was invested the whole story. I mean, the entire time I was like, yo, Irene and the freaking the girls giving donuts, giving out coffee, you know, hyping up the soldiers, and they had their own struggles. And it's also an interesting discussion on women in the military back in like the 40s, 1940s. And I don't know, like they contribute just as much as the men who were on the lines fighting. And a lot of the men didn't even shoot their weapons. They didn't even encounter violence. They were just there, and you know, you can be scarred by that just being there and seeing stuff. But yeah, I think a lot of men fight in the war, and a lot of dudes don't even see nothing. They just kind of not waste their time. They don't really see nothing. Like they don't shoot nothing. They don't kill anybody. Not saying you have to, but I think you get what I mean. But Goodnight, Irene. I mean, this girl's over here like talking her way out of getting killed by German soldiers in this ruined house, giving out donuts right after that. Like trooper. Also, there's like a side beautiful love story in this with this guy named Handyman who's a pilot. I mean, it was fire. I love this book. I give it a 4 out of 5. I would probably give it a 5 out of 5. Like, I would read this again for sure. I don't know. I'm trying to think of why I gave it a 4. Maybe because it took too long for me to get through, but that's more of a me problem. Anyways, next book. Oh, yeah. This is the last book. So we're actually up to date now. King of Wrath. Look, I could have not shared this with you guys that I read this book. I could have kept this to myself, my dirty little secret. This is a spicy book. This is probably like a 4 out of 5 spice. I'm trying to find like a spice scale picture, and after reading a lot of these, I think it might be a 5 out of 5 spice. It might be like Yeah, because it's saying 3 or more explicit open door scenes, which like open doors, like they don't fade to black. It's like open door, like you read everything. So low key, I don't know. I might need to pray about this one. But yeah, I did feel a little inappropriate. I felt a little heathenistic by reading this book, but it was a fire book. I mean, these these women who are like married and they just like fly through these type of books. I used to look at them and be like, why are you reading this like that slop? I was like, you know what? Let me give it a try. Got recommended by somebody. Freaking read it. I loved it. I actually went to the bookstore to find the second book because this is a series. I think there's like 7 now, but it's called King of Wrath. It's part of the King of Sin series, so like 7 deadly sins, and it follows different people in this group. My phone just restarted. That's weird. Anyways, yeah, book 1. I couldn't find book 2. Literally, everybody took up book 2. Every other book in the series was there in the stores, in 2 different stores, but the second book is gone. So I don't know. I'm keeping an eye out for this. Hold up, my phone restarted, and I gotta restart my Goodreads. But I think I give this a 4 out of 5 because I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great book. Okay, yeah, I did give it a 4 out of 5. Yeah, not too much more to say. Billionaire romance, kind of nasty. So if you're into that, pick it up. If you're not, don't. But that's all the books I read. I read 26 books this year. That is including the Picture of Dorian Gray, but I'm going to cover this in the next video because I think I have a little bit more to say about this, and this kind of made me think more. So that's for next video, and we'll get a little bit more into it. But yeah, I'm going to just keep doing this because I think this will help motivate me to like read books and pay more attention so I can have something to come on here and say. And it also helps me keep track of like how I felt in the moment when reading it, because I plan to make the videos like right after reading them. So yeah, if you're watching this, thank you for watching. If you like it, awesome. If you don't, that's cool too. If you have any book recommendations, please let me know and I'm gonna check them out. I've got a very big TBR list, but I'm slowly getting through it. I might have to put myself on a book buying ban. But honestly, like book buying and book reading are 2 separate hobbies, but they come together to make one beautiful hobby. Books, literature, it's great. Start reading. A lot of times if you feel like you hate reading, I've met people who say they hate reading and they never want to read. But a lot of times it's because you haven't read a good book. I've read so many bad books or tried to read. And also, I want you to remember something. If you don't like the book, put it down. Don't force yourself to read the book. I've got a whole pile of books over here too that I've started reading, but I never finished because they suck. To me personally, a lot of people liked them, like Fahrenheit 451. Perfume, I got like halfway through, but I was kind of bored with it. Put it down. Nobody's going to judge you because you didn't like a book that they liked or that's popular. Just put the book down, bro. Like, don't force yourself. This isn't something where like it's a job or a task or it's like you have to like this book or else you have to read all of Moby Dick even though it's just whale facts and it's not that good. Or you have to read all my favorite book is the Count of Monte Cristo, but it's really just because it's like 1,000 pages and it's kind of like cool to like look at. It looks like a stack of money. Just read what you want to read. Like, don't feel ashamed for reading different stuff. Venture out. Variety is the spice of life. Try something new. I'm 18. I didn't start reading like for real until this year, January. It's been 6 months. I've read 26 books. And I even have days where like I'm in a slump. I have like weeks where I go where I don't read it. Then I have a week where I read like 3 books. Like I go crazy. Take your time. There's no rush. Like reading is so important though. And it's just beneficial to life. I don't know. But thank you for watching. Check out Big Nate. Big Nate's book reviews. Big inspiration for me. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I guess I'll see you in the next video. Peace.